Okay, so a lot of people requested the Burton step-ons. They wanted to know if this thing is the real deal, if it's going to be as revolutionary as the Burton marketing machine would lead you to believe. Well, they work. I wrote them. I know they work. Do they work well? They work okay. Are they the worst things on Earth? Fuck no. I have ridden way worse things than the Burton step-ons. Case in point, these Bonhoeffer bindings. These were a strap-in, step-out concept with a magnetic plate. Magnetic plate. That thing weighs like 20 pounds, and that's just your back foot. The front one doesn't have that weight. Don't tell me that's not fucking your alignment up. The Burton step-on doesn't have any of those problems. Now, I want everyone to know, I'm not going to shit on the step-ons in this. They're good for what they are, and Burton really put a lot of money and time into this project to really make it work. Just so everyone's clear, I used the Photon boot with the step-on, but I did not use the Burton liner or footbed. I actually pulled my liner out of my K2 Thraxis's with my footbed and put it in there, and it fit. It fit fine. I didn't have any fit issues. I was able to get the boot tight enough to be able to go out and ride it, have it perform how I wanted it to. And the reason I did this is because the best boot is the one that fits your foot. I do not have a Burton-shaped foot. If you do, that's awesome. If you don't try to force yourself in there so that you can get this technology. You need to make sure that the boot fully fits your foot. If you're one of those people that doesn't have a Burton foot, you're going to spend a lot of time customizing that boot to get it to fit your foot. But this isn't a boot review. I'm not going to break down the Photon. I'm not going to break down the ruler. And I know next year they're offering more boot options with the step-on. Like I said, the best boot is the one that fits your foot. Stepping in takes a little more effort than you would think. You've got to drive the heel into that cleat and get it to lock. And there's 2 clicks to it. It will hold you in with 1 click, but 2 is going to give you more optimal performance. I did have a set with the old cleats that were recalled, and I did have it disengage 1 click on my back foot. It sucked, it's sloppy, you ride around just not fully engaged no matter how hard you push into it. But I didn't fall out of it. I didn't come fully unclipped and rip my foot out and blow my knee out, clearly because I'm standing. Had that going for me. This is still a first generation product, so they are working out the kinks, which is why there was the recall on the heel cleat. And these are the types of things that happen with a first generation product. Is it going to improve? Probably. They're dumping money into it. But could this just be another wave of what step-ins were in the late 90s and early 2000s where they just discontinued it and then 20 years from now we'll still see people using this? Maybe. I don't know. What I will say is it takes more effort than you think, and you have to move your foot in a different method than you're used to with traditional straps. Now, for those of you that are like, this is going to be the end-all, be-all, I'm never going to have to bend down to unstrap or do anything. Yeah, no, you are. There's a release lever. You're going to have to reach down, grab it, pull it, and step out. Because if you don't step out and you lean back a little, it's going to re-engage and lock you back in. It takes more effort than you think, and it's slightly counterintuitive of what you learn with regular bindings. And it's not really any faster than straps, so for the people that are like, oh my god, I'm going to be able to keep up with my skier friends, yeah, stop riding with skiers. We're snowboarders. Ride with snowboarders. And for the people that are like, oh, I don't have to sit down to strap in, why the fuck are you sitting down to strap in? It's not hard to bend at the waist, you're still going to have to do that with these things. I want to talk about one of the weird things with the step-on. Those toe cleats click. There's movement. You can hear it. It's an incessant clicking noise when you're moving your foot in the binding. It's kind of freaky. It kind of makes you wonder if you're going to pop out. I didn't pop out, but it was there. And I wasn't the only one to experience this. Marcus experienced it, Kevin experienced it, and the guys over at Snowboard Pro Camp experienced it with their video of it. Let's ask ourselves, is this thing actually secure? Yes. Yes, it is. When you're locked in, you're locked in. So there are limitations with how you can tweak this binding. When you're getting in the air, you're going to notice right away that you can't leverage it as much as you can as a strap binding. It just doesn't work that way because the way the heel cleat sits in there. So you're locked in, you're held down. This is a responsive binding. You will notice right away that there's a lot of flex to it and you can feel it. And a lot of that has to do with the reflex disc in this. And I'm not a fan of reflex unless it's on EST, so riding it on a 4-hole patterned board, I just overpowered the binding and noticed my screws got loose a lot. I ended up having to retighten them over and over and over again. It didn't matter if I was on my Marhar Lumberjack or my interior plane project Honolulu. Both of those boards, the bindings came loose. That was just how it was with it, and I think that's the reflex disc. I wish these didn't have reflex on them. But it's Burton, so you know that they're trying to market it towards their boards because you're locked into their boot and their binding system. Now I want to talk about the dampening of this binding. It's a very lively binding and you will feel everything in it. I mean, everything. It doesn't do anything to dampen anything. Your feet will be fatigued. You will just notice every vibration. And I think that's part of why my screws kept coming loose, that reflex disc and everything. I was just overpowering it so much and there was just no dampening to it that the screws were just vibrating loose. And I mean, I was cranking those fuckers tight, super tight, and I did it 4 times and they still managed to come loose. It just sucked, especially when I decided to point it through a mogul field. I don't know why I did that. My knees hate me for it. My back really hated me for it, but I did it. As I mentioned, this is a responsive binding, but it's spongy too. It feels like there's a loss of power transmission. You can drive into a carve with it and it'll engage, and it engages quickly, but when you really push it, it just feels sloppy. It feels like there's a slight loss to it, that you don't have that fully engaged, locked in feel like you would with a strap binding and a regular boot. It just was kind of just underwhelming in a lot of respects. So I went out and found some real sugary, powdery snow and climbed into it to see how hard it was going to be to step into it. And it failed miserably. It just absolutely fucking failed. That's it. It just did not work. I struggled to get this to lock in. It's just the snow kept coming in, packing it down, doing whatever to get to where I could. It wasn't any saving grace for me compared to a strap binding. So you need to take that into consideration when you're looking at these things, that there are limitations to this binding, and I think this is a binding that's for someone that's a casual cruiser, someone that's really not going to push it to the limits. And I know someone's going to leave a comment being like, I'm a hardcore rider and I get 100 days a year, blah, blah, blah. Cool, buddy. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. So just save your shitty ass comment. I know there's a video of Thierry jumping into these things and just taking off. I tried and I failed miserably. I'm not Thierry. I never will be. I was able to jump in and get one boot locked in perfectly. The other one, just no fucking hope. I don't know if he didn't have heel cleats or what when they were making that video with him, and I don't really care how many people are actually going to try to jump right into these things and take off. Leave me a comment if that's what you think you're going to do. I don't know. What I do know is they work, but there's limitations like anything. So let's ask ourselves, does the Burton Step-On work? Yes. Is it the future of snowboard technology and going to be a saving grace? No. What it is going to do is make rental equipment easier for people, and for those older guys that have hip injuries, back injuries, that can't bend down to strap in, it's going to be just easier to use. You're going to be able to step onto it and go. You're still going to have to bend down to release the lever, and you're going to have to use more torque than you think to step out of it. It's not a bad product. I can't really just say it's a hunk of shit, because it's not. It's not like this piece of crap over here with the freaking cam system that you stepped in and strapped out of, which I thought it was funny that a guy tried to make a technology that Burton tried before. This isn't really a binding for someone that's a very aggressive rider, someone that's going to charge. This is more for someone that's a mid-level rider or has a disability that doesn't allow them to bend over at the waist and fully strap in. I feel like this is for someone that's just a casual cruiser. If you know how to aggressively ride, you will overpower this binding and you will drive it. Marcus had some issues with it. Kevin said he loved it, could ride it every day, but we'll talk about that in our roundtable discussion for the new show we're working on for the fall. So check and see if it's in the pilot episode, which will be launching in May, or maybe it will be in one of the other episodes this fall. Remember to comment, share, subscribe, and like this video. That way you can see all the relevant or irrelevant snowboarding content that we're putting out for you guys. So smash that bell down below, that way you're getting a notification, and I'll see you guys in another video. If you've been enjoying all these product reviews and you haven't been buying through our affiliate program, which is down there, why don't you check out our Patreon? This is a great way for you to get involved with us. There's some great rewards on there, and it helps fund us so we can do more product reviews for you guys that enjoy what we're doing.